I think we know the outcome, Senator, at least for Chair Powell, but there might be some interesting tete-a-tetes, I would imagine, going back and forth between senators from both sides of the aisle. In your view, you commend Chair Powell on his response to the pandemic, but if there were criticism for you to levy, it would be about how long the Fed has stayed at the party. Is that fair to say?
That's fair, Joe. I think the Fed got way behind the curve on inflation. I was worried about this new paradigm of allowing inflation to exceed the target for some indeterminate period of time. And then you combine that with the notion that it was all transitory anyway. It kind of was a recipe for getting in trouble if inflation would, in fact, start to creep up. And, of course, it's gone screaming up. But to their credit, I think the Fed has recognized this. Chairman Powell has acknowledged that these numbers have come in way beyond what they had expected. And they've made a major pivot. I mean, we found out last week they're even apparently talking about shrinking the size of the balance sheet. So I think that's constructive. I think they are in catch-up mode. I'll be very curious to get whatever thoughts we can get from him about how this particular cycle ends. From where I'm sitting, the idea that we end the bond buying and then have 3 or maybe 4 25 basis point increases in the Fed funds rate, well, that still leaves you with negative real interest rates on the short end. I don't think that gets the job done. But obviously, they'll be data dependent. I would like to learn more about how the chairman is thinking about what the neutral rate is and how this is likely to unfold.
We every day see lots of evidence of how Democrats and Republicans view things really diametrically on so many different issues. It's really quite staggering that both, people go to school, they learn the same kind of stuff. They go to college, they go to grad school, they go to law school, they do, and then they come with these different ideas. I don't know if you saw Senator Sherrod Brown. What do you think Democrats, the view of what the Fed is supposed to be doing, how does that differ from Republicans? You're saying they're behind the curve. From what I could gather from what Senator Brown was saying, the Democrats want to stay easy even longer. And I think that was one of the reasons maybe Powell wasn't sort of the unanimous choice for some people on that side of the aisle, because he might take the punch bowl way too quickly. Don't you think the punch bowl adds to the problems that we're trying to solve here with income inequality?
Absolutely. Look, no question about it. And in my mind, it's not really realistic to achieve the mandate of maximizing employment unless you have price stability, right? If there's a world in which the value of the dollar is volatile, uncertain, if inflation is a big problem, you can't possibly maximize employment. And so I've always thought that price stability really should be the first responsibility of the Fed, and other good things then can flow from there. That's not the way many of my Democratic colleagues look at it.
So is Lyle Brainerd? I guess was there a sigh of relief among Republicans that maybe she was not going to replace Chair Powell? Would we have an even easier Fed and even more regulation? That seems like almost a double whammy.
I think there has been a concern that Lael Brainerd is more dovish when it comes to monetary policy. Also, much more hawkish on regulation. As you may know, she was the only Fed governor to dissent on a series. I think there were 20 votes on very modest regulatory relief measures, mostly for small banks. And she was the sole governor that voted against all of those. So there are reasons that some of us are pretty concerned about where she would like to go on the regulatory side.